I've finally remembered, one of our subscribers has bought 3 Nintendo eShop vouchers to give away to the community. It was initially because Silksong had come out and there were a few people that said they couldn't afford it. So yeah, she was like, I'm going to buy it for some people. So we got 3 UK eShop cards. So if you're in the UK and you want a free game, yeah, we'll be giving those away. If you haven't checked out SwitchUp Extra yet, what are you doing? Go have a look. We've got a very big episode that came out a day or so back where we tried out Metroid firsthand, Metroid 4 Beyond, and we give our thoughts on it. So yeah, go have a look. I think you're going to be, well, we were very happy to have been invited for that experience. Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp. Now, firstly, the person from last week, you didn't claim your game. So if you can go and have a little look at that video to see the winner. Obviously, we verify it's you by doing edits and comments and things like that. But yeah, if you haven't looked at the last video, go and check the last sales video because that hasn't been claimed. The winner from this week, from the last, it's getting confusing. The new winner is this person right here, nice one. And we're going to take a look at the best Nintendo Switch eShop sales. If you'd like to win a free game, just leave your comments down below. Let me know what you've been playing. Maybe your backlog has been saved and maybe it's about to take a hammering. All right, what are the best games on sale? Well, my name's Mark Walker. Welcome back to SwitchUp. Now let's find out. Let's kick off then with Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age, the definitive edition. My goodness, that's a mouthful. This one has a 10-hour-long demo that will carry over your progress. So if you've not tried it before, definitely check out the demo. It's not really a demo, it's like a blooming chunk of the entire game, which is a demo, Mark. Oh man. And yeah, it's great. Really did enjoy this. Was my first experience of it on the Nintendo Switch. It was one of those games where it was brought across in such a good way that people were like, wow, okay, the Switch is a legit console. And if you like your JRPGs, this ticks all the boxes. You've got turn-based combat. You can get the upper hand on enemies depending on the way that you approach them. It has a massive story that's fully voice acted. There are even elements of the 2D games brought in through one element that's, I won't spoil, but very cool indeed. It's a love letter really to JRPGs, and that's why it holds a 91% meta score even now, 6 years after it came out on the Switch. So that's Dragon Quest XI's, 50% off until the 17th of November in all regions.
Speed of battle. You can blaze through at twice the speed.
Blast off! Goodness.
Another that I think is an underrated experience is Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age. I'm not really sure why I say it's underrated. I think out of all the Final Fantasy games that I've played over the years, this is the one that I don't hear a huge amount about. Now, I only played this on Switch, so my first experience was when it came out in 2019, and I loved it. At the moment, it's £17.99 until the 17th, so it's its lowest ever price. That sale is on in all regions as well, but it centers around the guy called Van, who's lost his family in the war, and Princess Ash, I think that was her name, who's looking for revenge. It's very good. It runs well on Switch 1. There are actually very few games that Square Enix have brought across that I've been like, this is terrible. You know what I mean? You've got things like the new not Dragon Age, Octopath Zero. There's a demo of that available, so you go check it out. But there's very few things they bring across, and it's shocking performance. Fair play to them. They do their ports and things quite well. What I quite liked about this Final Fantasy, though, was that it had like bounty hunts in it, and your usual swathe of weird mini-games. Those things that you kind of remember, a bit like the Chocobo race in Chocobo, however you want to say it. And man, what a good soundtrack. So yeah, that is Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age. 60% off until November the 17th or the 20th in North America.
Something far worse.
You took my father's life. Why spare mine now? You would have me live in shame.
If that is your duty.
We're starting out, it's just a bit of a Square Enix-a-thon, isn't it, really? You've got Star Ocean The Second Story R, which was a remake of Star Ocean The Second Story that I think was originally out on PlayStation. Oh, don't quote me on that, someone's getting raged. But it was a complete remake of that game for the Nintendo Switch and other platforms, and man, I loved this. It looks incredible. It has a great time-traveling storyline that works so well. The combat as well is really nice and quick, so you're not dealing with classic turn-based combat. It's very much that you enter action sequences that are gated, they're like ringed in, and you're using your abilities on the fly with cooldowns and such. And the world as well, it uses a job system that feels like Bravely Default that you could completely ignore to some extent, but when you really dive into it, it adds so much to the depth. I love this. I really do hope we see another Star Ocean game come. I think they could really do with expanding this series and continuing it. So yeah, Star Ocean, the second story, another where we've got a full review as well. If I remember, I'll stick links to it somewhere. $22.49 or your regional equivalent until the 17th of November. Great. Let's do one in the North American regions only and then one in the UK. We got A Space for the Unbound. That is 25% off until the 22nd of November. And one of my favorite games on the platform. I've actually got that in my little games case right in front of me. It's published by Chorus Worldwide and it's designed and made, I think, by an Indonesian team set in 90s rural Indonesia and features so many throwback references to things that you loved, but also gives you that feeling of otherness where they're trying to articulate visually and through their game another space, another place, and potentially somewhere that you've never experienced. So it has that familiarity, but also that difference, I guess, that makes it interesting. You can dive into people's minds during the game. It has a Donnie Darko style weirdness to it, and you'll use that to change their minds on certain topics. It's very clever, actually. Has a really nice soundtrack as well. Just a great game. All played from the side perspective with that lovely pixel art style. Yeah, one of my favorites, I think, on Switch, this one. It's A Space for the Unbound. That sale in the North American regions goes on until the 22nd of November. Next up then, we've got Bear and Breakfast, which I think is down to its cheapest ever price, £7.53, and it features an entrepreneurial teddy bear. Well, he's not a teddy, is he? He's an actual bear. And he sets up his own bed and breakfast. This sale is 55% off until the 24th of November, and it's a super addictive game, actually. Once you've established your first bed and breakfast and it started to really turn over some good guests, you can hire staff to then run that area, move on to a new part of the map, and start a new place. And each one has its own gameplay challenges, I guess is a good way of putting it. So one's in a snowy area, the other one's like an abandoned petrol station in the desert that has old motels around it and stuff. So you're trying to overcome various different challenges presented by the locations, whilst also trying not to lose your entire life to what becomes really addictive. Controls, not the best. So you do have to learn the controls. Once you've got to grips with them, you'll be fine, but there's this learning curve for those. That's probably the weakest aspect of the game, really. But Bear and Breakfast, as I say, 55% off until the 24th of November. The UK only one is Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. This came from like a couple of small devs, but was published by Marvelous. And it essentially focuses on the Japanese art of perfectionism with a rice field that you have to maintain that then feeds into the action RPG elements of the game, where you can go out into the world at large, collect up ingredients, fight bosses, and then take all of that back as you move through the seasons, perfecting your rice field. You literally hand plant each and every grain. Yeah, really unusual concept. Go check out our full review. I'm pretty sure it was Glen that reviewed it, but we loved it. We just thought it was such a strange but calming experience and something we hadn't really seen before. So Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, that sale of 50% off goes on until the 19th of November. Next up, we've got the really strange Ravenous Devils, which I think Glenn mentioned has maybe a physical potentially. Either that or he just picked this up because it was cheap. But it's 30% off. It's only £3.14. And it describes itself as a horror cooking simulator. You're managing a tailor shop and you run a secret corpse cooking business. It's absolutely horrendous, isn't it? But he swears it's a really fun and strangely addictive game where the food that you're serving up isn't exactly what you or I would class as palatable, shall we say. But that one at the moment, a bit of a hidden gem, I'd say. Just £3.14 or your regional equivalent until the 24th of November. And in a similar vein in terms of being more of an indie gem, we've got Do Not Feed the Monkeys, which is just £3.62 until the 20th of November. And it's basically a narrative-driven surveillance simulation game where you play as the new member of a club called the Primate Observation Club, where they are observing people. And each cage, air quotes, that you unlock represents a different live feed, and it shows snippets of that stranger's life. Things like apartments, offices, and you have to watch, study, and then gather information without ever interacting with them, aka do not feed the monkeys. There are puzzles within those that you're trying to solve, but also you'll be following leads. It's very interesting with that dark comedy twist to it. So yeah, Do Not Feed the Monkeys, £3.62, absolute bargain.
Observation Club. Watch dozens of primates in their natural habitat from the comfort of your own home.
Next up, a recommendation, but only for those who have the Nintendo Switch 2. It's Close to the Sun, which is a Switch 1 release, but my goodness, it runs terribly on Switch 1. Like, it's appalling. Don't do it to yourself. But it's £3.99, and on Switch 2, it's more than playable. It hits 30 FPS all the time. I even revisited it in one of our series, and it's set in 1897 aboard this very unusual ship that was designed by Nikola Tesla. And it has a bit of a Bioshock feeling to it, but it's not like that. There's no combat. You sometimes are running away from a lunatic, and it has a real horror twist to it. But yeah, if you have a Switch 2, it's actually quite a fun game. It was one of those where I was replaying it for the Switch 2 performance and ended up actually finishing it for the first time on Switch 2 and being like, oh, okay, that was actually quite enjoyable. So yeah, Close to the Sun, £3.99 until the 20th of November. Our hidden gem this week, it has to go to Square Enix with Voice of Cards. Now, the Voice of Cards trilogy, I'd say it's fair that most people haven't tried these. Maybe they took one look at them and thought, yeah, that's not going to be for me. But they're brilliant RPGs, almost like tabletop RPGs, that manage to tell really engaging and sometimes quite touching stories that might remind you a little of old school like Choose Your Own Adventures mixed with that tabletop RPG that I think, yeah, it really does put it in the hidden gem category. We have a review of a couple of these, so go check them out on the channel. But at 60% off $9.99, you're getting a nice chunk of gameplay there for that price. Alright, let's jump into our Savaloy Selection then, and I'm going to use Deku Deals for this one because I want you to go and use Deku Deals as well as our own website, SwitchUp Deals, because it's amazing. Yeah, it's better. In many ways, it's better than what we're offering. So yeah, go give them a look. The first Savaloy, or Fedcook, or whatever you want to call it. We've got Mechstermination Force, which is a bit of a boss rush game. Has a bit of a Mega Man feel to it from its aesthetic, but it doesn't play like that, and it's difficult. 92% off here in the UK, just 89 pence. Blade Runner, the Enhanced Edition, which they patched up after certain individuals kept complaining that it had these crashes. Well, fair play to a classic game from the 90s. It was on CD when I bought it for my PC. What a great point and click this was. At 75% off, though, I think that matches its cheapest ever. In America, you've got Monster Harvest, which finally got patched up about a year after it came out. And it's a bit like Stardew Valley, but you basically have monsters. I think you even plant them. There are 72 different mutations that you can create. And yeah, like I say, it was a good game, but sadly completely broken at launch. And I think for a lot of people, that's like the death now, isn't it? It's over for it. But yeah, we revisited it. It was much better than it was at launch. And I think for, what is it, $1.99, that's not too shabby, is it? Until November the 21st. And finally, the Super Chill Islanders is just $1.99. This is a single player strategy game that's almost one button, like really simplistic. You just add in things to these islands, and then the combination and the proximity of where you add them is what gets you points, and you just kind of chill build your way through each stage with really relaxing music in the background. It was developed by Grizzly Games, and there is a sequel in the works as well, which we're hoping to cover on the channel. But for that price, yes please. So that's it for this week. Let me know in the comments, have you picked something up? Has it tickled your fancy? Has the backlog taken a smash? And a big thanks to all of you that do use SwitchUp GG SWG to get your eShop credit for 5% cashback, and that does support us as well in a very small way. Thank you to our Patreons, our members, and all of you that enjoy the content for all things Switch all the time. Keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya. Yeah, I know it's not high pitched, but man, sometimes I tell you what, I think the older you get, your voice just doesn't want to do these high things anymore. It's like, no, man, come on. We can't reach that anymore. I'll have to like record it and then copy paste it in.